All right. So how y'all doing?
To what, sir?
You all good? All right. This is a topic we don't normally touch on like that because it's not. Yeah, I mean it's not basically taught in the Christian church per se, which is circumcision. All right. And the reason why I'm touching on this topic is to help you understand the type of the I said the relationship Paul and Peter and the brothers who was in Jerusalem concerning the brothers outside of Jerusalem, right, who was in Asia Minor. You understand? And the what's basically separated them. One of the things that separated them. Okay? All right. What is circumcision? You all knew the significance of it, what the Lord was trying to do. Anybody?
The
If not,
uh,
go ahead. Go ahead, young man Bryce.
yes, that was the cutting of skin of the penis.
Yes, that foreskin. All right.
Yeah,
And remember, all these things was done to do what?
it was done to separate. I mean, to identify.
You correct when you say separate. That's a good word to use. I say separate us from who? The Israelites from who? From the rest of the people, or the heathens, or the non-Israelites. Right? Good. Now go to Genesis. Let's start at Genesis 17 and 11. Go to Genesis 17 and 11.
Come on. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 17 and verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it
And
shall be.
right, so this is who's speaking here?
So this
Who's
should be
speaking to
Moses.
who? Right? This is who?
This would be Abraham, eh? I think.
Yes. This
Yes.
is the
So
Lord
God
speaking
said
to
unto
who?
Abraham, can't say.
Yes. Right? Read on.
And it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you.
Right. And you'll remember the story with Levi and Simeon. This is one of the things that they use to carry out, you know what I mean, that execution on them Africans for raping their sister, for
Can't,
abusing their sister. You understand? Right? Read on. Read on.
so. And Genesis 17 and verse 12. And
Mm-hmm.
he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every
Mm-hmm.
man, every man child in your generation. He that
Mm-hmm.
is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed.
You understand? So he telling you that what? Basically, they had to be what? Circumcised. You understand? Child, right? Every child in your generation. You understand? Everybody what? In your house. You know what I mean? Your who? Your servant had to be circumcised too. Right? Read on.
And he that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must
Mm-hmm.
need be circumcised. And
Mm-hmm.
my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant.
Now he's saying that what? My what?
My covenant shall be
Mm-hmm.
in your flesh for an everlasting covenant.
Right? And that was as it said clearly says what? Is a token, right? To show that what? That we were keeping what? The covenant or the agreement we made with the Lord through who? Abraham. Right? Right. Read
And,
on.
and the uncircumcised man child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised,
Mm-hmm.
that soul shall be cut off from his people.
Now you're kind of under. That's why we say you need the what? The Old Testament also too. You need it. Now you clearly would see why Peter and them did not want to keep company with who? With somebody who was not a what? You remember that?
Cancer.
What did Peter say?
They will.
You remember that?
I remember when Peter didn't want to be seen with the Gentiles, what they call the Gentiles at the time, because they were the uncircumcised.
Yes, basically. All right, hold on. Let me see if I get it for you. Hold on. I'm gonna search for it while we're here, right?
Cancer.
See. All right, Acts 10 and 22. Read Acts 10 and 22.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 10 and verse 22.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, Cornelius the centurion, a just man, and one that feared God,
Mm-hmm.
and of good report among all nations of the Jews.
What do they say about Cornelius? What does the Christian church say about Cornelius?
He was a non-Jew. He was an Israelite.
He was a what?
He was a non-Israelite. That's what they say.
Right. But from reading it now, what does it look like Cornelius is? Or what is Cornelius from reading it? Read it one more time.
Acts chapter 10 and verse 22. And they said, Cornelius the centurion, a just man.
So a just man, for you to be a just man, what needs to happen? What you're comparing yourself to?
Must be comparing himself to other just people. And not being the way the unjust people are.
Okay. Today, right? Today, you live in Bahamas, right? Good. How do you compare make comparisons to people on the island on people who are just to people who are unjust? What do you use?
What do we use?
Meaning, what do you use to say, okay, this man is a just man?
We watch their actions.
Okay, for example, right? Oscar, have you ever been to jail?
Nah, sir.
So when I ask you that, what am I comparing you, or what am I really putting you up against?
You put me up against other person who would have gone to jail.
No. I am speaking to you. Okay, no. Okay, who's a criminal?
Okay, somebody breaking the law. Black here.
Very good. Now you're getting to it, Oscar. Somebody that's breaking the law is a criminal. But what decides this man is a criminal, this man is not a criminal? What decides it? Ashka, what decides
someone who follows the law and someone who breaks the law.
Very good. So now you are gauging that based on whose law? Who are you basing it on?
In the Bahamas, it'll be
man's law.
Yeah.
Basically, okay, yes, you are correct, but you're basing it on your island laws or your government laws. The people who govern you, they have laws, they have rules that you have to follow. And if you don't follow it, you're going to end up where? In jail. No, the Bible, right? The Bible has laws in it, right? No, how would you compare a just man to an unjust man? You need to be comparing them to what?
Salaki, sir, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
If the man is keeping the laws,
Mm-hmm.
then he's a just man. And if he's not keeping the laws, I guess following the laws of that day.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
he's
in other
following-
words, so in other words,
Salakia,
come on.
Salakia, most of the law is based on the law of Moses, but they uh, changed the law by introducing section to, but the main law is based on Moses' law, but it is put in section to build an agreement with our place, with our people, with our country.
You're saying with our people.
Huh?
All right, go to Psalms 119. Go to Psalms 119.
One kind, sir.
And hold on. $119 and hold on. Hold on. And is it 40? Hold on. Let me find it for you quick. You know what I'm looking for?
Nah,
when
sir.
when he says when he said he gave me his laws to the Israelites. No, it's 147 and 19. Sorry, 147.
Come, sir.
147 and 19. I know, but I'm speaking to you pertaining to what? To the Bible.
One kind, sir.
All right. Now read this part right here.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 147 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
He shewed his words unto Jacob.
Okay, what is he talking about when he says show it his word unto Jacob? What word?
The laws, sir.
Okay, not just the laws.
So he everything is pertaining to Jacob.
Be simple. Make it simple. What is he speaking about here? He showed his word
So this is
unto Jacob. Just simply, if you want to put it in a nutshell, we will say what? This is proof that the Bible is for who?
for the Israelites.
For
Or
Jacob. Yes.
For Jacob. Yes.
Who is the Israelites? This is proof right here.
God, sir.
He said what? Read one more time.
He shewed his word unto Jacob.
That's who this word is for, this Bible. You understand? This Bible is for Jacob, his descendants. Read on.
His statute and his judgment unto Israel.
Now he being extremely specific now. His what?
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
Now, can an oppressor enter into the kingdom of heaven?
La, sir.
He cannot.
Amen.
Why?
Because the word nor the statute and judgment was ever given to him, sir.
Very good. An African can't do it. And meaning this. So simply putting it, can an oppressor be a just man? Can an African be a just man? According to the Bible.
Nah, so
You understand?
kind of.
Why he can't be a just man?
So like I said, by me,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all because the Most High never gave him the laws, never gave him the word, never gave him the statute. So whatever he does, it wouldn't even be for the Lord.
That's it. It doesn't matter if a heathen gets on his knee until it bleed. He get on his knees until it bleed and ask God for mercy. He does not care. He doesn't. How we know he don't care? Was it precept? Am I just saying it because I want to infuriate Massa? How do I know he does not care?
So like I said, I could paraphrase one where they say that the other nations are like a spittle, but I don't know where it is.
That's it. That is it. That is it. Go to Isaiah 40 and 15.
Kind of. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 40 and verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, the nation are as a drop. Salakia. Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold,
So in other words, what is this saying? So sis, picture this. You go into the standpipe, right, to get some water to cook or, wash dishes, do something, right? Right? Now, if you go, you get that bucket of water, you reach halfway, a drop of water fall out that bucket. Will you go back to the standpipe?
So
Sister look confused. Sister look like, why is he asking me that stupid question? Nah, of course you ain't gonna go back there and get no water. And that's how the Lord count the nations. It means nothing. That drop of water that falls out of that bucket means nothing. You going, and now, young man Bryce, you weighing some food, right? Or weighing some potatoes, right? So potatoes, it has what it has on it. It don't be all the way clean sometimes once you took it out, right? Out the earth. Might have some dirt on it, right? You gotta weigh them potatoes with the weight. Are you going to just dust the dust off it to make sure you get the correct weight? You're gonna dust it off?
And I said this product, knows that I got it. I clean up as much as possible, but little dirt.
Yeah, you will clean it as much as possible, but that little dust that fall on the balance, that ain't gonna change the weight of the potato. You understand? So you're not even going to worry about it. And the Lord is saying, read it one more time when it comes to these nations.
Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance.
A small dust of the balance, meaning they are nothing to the Lord. Nothing. You understand? I know this is something your pastor never go over in a Christian church. You pull this and ask him, what is that talking about? Oh boy, you fit into hear all his opinions on what he thinks it is. But it's clear as day. The Lord don't care about these other nations. That is one thing is clear as day. Right? Now go back to Acts. So now you know, for you to be a just man according to this Bible, you have to be an Israelite doing what? Following the Lord's statutes and commandments. You understand? Right?
Slack is
Come
which
on.
Acts
10 and 22.
calendar, sir. This is the book of Acts, chapter 10 and verse 22. And they said, Cornelius the centurion, a just man,
Mhm.
and one that feared God.
So Cornelius was where? He was in where? Where was he? He was in where? He was a centurion, so which means he was a what? What was his profession?
He was a soldier, sir,
Yes, he was in soldier in where?
in the Roman army.
That's it. It's no different than today. A Bahamian is in the American military. You understand?
We have
Oh,
some
in yes, I know. That's how they they integrate, basically, for lack of a better term. That's how they integrate you into the society sometimes. Most of the times. You understand? They make sure that they have some of your men in their military. You understand?
Calvin.
All right. And this brother was in that. Right? Read on.
And of good report among all the nations of the Jews.
All the nations of what?
Of the Jews.
You understand? He had a good reputation, a good name. Read on.
Was warned from God by an holy angel to send for thee into his house, and to hear words of thee.
Yes. Hold on. Give me 1 minute. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm looking for where Peter said, go to Acts 10 and 28. Skip down to Acts 10 and 28 for me.
Answer. This is the book of Acts, chapter 10 and verse 28. And he said unto them, Ye know that how it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation.
You understand what Peter is saying here? What is Peter saying here? And remember the topic that we're on, right?
Counsel.
What is Peter saying here?
Peter saying it's unlawful to keep it's unlawful for the Jew to keep company with any other nation.
Okay, when I say any other nation, what any other nation mean?
Other than Israel.
Okay. Okay. In the Old Testament, right? In the Old Testament, right? Let's go back to Genesis 17 and where stop at?
I think it was 14, sir.
Read 14 one more time. Read 14 one more time.
So this is the book of Genesis, chapter 17 and 14. And the uncircumcised man whose flesh of his foreskin was not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people.
What does that mean, that his soul shall be cut off from his people?
That means that they would disown him, sir.
Meaning they will no longer be considered a what?
A Jew.
A Jew. You understand?
Gotcha.
Does that mean that's not his brother? When I say brother, meaning he's not from the same tribe or from the nation.
La'asa.
You understand? That's the other nation.
Kind.
That's why Peter and them did not want to keep company with anybody outside of Jerusalem. Because why? Because one thing they knew is that they didn't have an Israelite rod. They didn't have that circumcision. You understand? And according to the Bible, according to the Old Testament here, if you were not circumcised as a man, you had to be what? Cut off from your people. You understand?
So like I said,
Come on.
Does that mean at that time they were saying if they wasn't circumcised on the 8th day? Is that right?
Yes. So you know that more than likely, if you was not in Jerusalem, ain't nobody getting circumcised on the 8th day if you wasn't in Jerusalem.
Come on.
You understand? And then further to further push it outside of the circumcision, beside the circumcision, if you celebrated Christmas or you missed what? I think it was at least 3 high holy days. There are certain things that you were not allowed to come back in. But because of Christ, now you're able to what? Come in. Now, that's why I don't want to give it. We'll get to it. All right. So now remember when it came to these I don't want to say, you know, they're short people. I don't want to say you know them short people, right? Them dwarfs.
Gotcha.
Right. You weren't allowed to come into the congregation. Somebody who was like albino,
Gotcha.
right? Born with that condition, you weren't allowed to come into the congregation until I think it was either until the 4th or something generation down the road. Then your son or your offspring was going to be able to come in. If you had relations with a heathen, your child couldn't come into the congregation. You couldn't come to the Passover in the Old Testament. You could not. But because of Christ, now, you know what I mean, people that were not allowed to come in back then in Moses' time, now they're allowed to come in. You understand? Now they give them that grace to come in. You understand?
Okay.
Right? Now, go to where you at right now? You was in Genesis, right?
Gotcha.
All right. Go to go back to Romans. No, go to Romans. Not go back to Romans. We'll go to Romans now. Romans 2. Right? Romans 2, and maybe we could start. Let me see if we can start at 25. All right, or we could start at 1 first to get the gist.
Gotcha.
And let me skip. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, this entire Roman 2 is basically on the premise of circumcision. You understand? Now read this. Read 1. We'll skip around with this.
Gotcha. This is the book of Romans chapter 2 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, thou art inexcusable, O man,
Mm-hmm.
whosoever thou art that judgest. For
Mhm.
wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself.
Mm-hmm.
But thou that judgest does the same things.
What is that saying? What is that saying right there?
It's saying if a man is breaking the law,
Mm-hmm.
telling another man that he's breaking the law, but he's breaking the same law.
That's it. that is it. Simple. Your pastor, he famous for doing that.
Gotcha.
He telling you you can't go sleep with another woman when you have a wife already. But guess what he doing?
Sleeping with another woman.
He's sleeping with your wife.
God, sir.
You understand? He doing the same thing he charging a man not to do, but he's doing the same thing too.
The same thing.
You understand? And that's the problem, you know what I mean, since back then. You understand? That's why Christ back then told them to do what? Do as they what? They
Do as
say.
they can, sir, and not as
But
they do.
yes, not as they do.
Can.
You understand? That's how evil there was. And remember, Christ, when Christ saved the woman who was caught in adultery, right? What did Christ tell them to do? Okay, somebody caught in adultery according to the Bible, right? In the Old Testament with Moses, what was supposed to happen to them? If you caught them, they were caught in adultery.
Con. They were caught in the act. They were stoned to death.
You had to stone them to death. And who had to stone her to who had to start the stoning? You walk in and you see it, you had to be the first one to cast that stone to start it.
Can.
You understand? That's how you know what I mean, how serious that law on adultery was. You understand? Right? Now, what did Christ do? Christ tell them what?
So like I said, if I may, Christ told them, he that is without sin, cast the first stone.
No, did he stop them?
La, sir.
No. He didn't say, now you can't do that. He can't say, if you have no sin, then cast the first stone. And what happened?
So like I said, they just left.
Yeah, they had to leave. The only person that could have stoned them there was who?
Christ, sir, if I may.
Yeah, Christ. Yeah, but Christ didn't do it. Christ said what? And these were Christian fair to understand. Christ told that woman what? What did Christ tell that woman?
So like I said, go and sin no more.
That's it. Go and sin no more. So sin, you know what I mean? Laws are not done away with. You understand? Otherwise, Christ would never have to mention go and sin no more. The law's still in effect. Right?
Can.
So now, where you at right now?
Still in the book of Romans. I
Yeah,
just read the first verse.
Right, go back.
Just read the first verse again, sir.
No. Go to verse 2.
Can. But we are sure that the judgment of God is according to truth against them which committed such things.
Right. Now skip to verse 4.
So this is the book of Romans chapter 2 and verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Or despisest thou the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long suffering, not knowing that the goodness of God lendeth thee to repentance?
Leadeth
Leadeth thee to repentance.
you understand? So he trying to tell them what is Paul trying to get them to understand? What's Paul basically trying to get them to understand?
So like I said, if I may, would he be trying to get them to focus on themselves?
You get into it. You get into it. He trying to get them to basically understand. I ain't gonna give you it. We're gonna skip down to verse 10.
Okay. This is the book of Romans chapter 2 and verse 10. But glory, honor, and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first, and also to the Gentile.
What is that? What is he saying here? Who is the Jew?
The Jew,
Mhm.
I think in this case, he is speaking colloquially to all Israel.
So who's Gentile?
Well, I think the Gentile would be those who would have been, for whatever reason, whether they were cast out, not. I mean, Israelites who were not viewed at
That's
that
what
time
you
for
want.
whatever reason.
So the both are Israelites.
Can't say.
The both are Israelite. Jews, he's speaking to the ones where?
In Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem. You understand? Speaking to the ones in Jerusalem and the ones outside of Jerusalem. The Jews and the who? Also the what? The
The
Gentiles.
Gentiles.
Read on.
For there is no respect of persons with God.
Just like there's a rich man and a poor man, right? Money does not justify a rich man. Poverty doesn't justify what? A poor man. You understand? That's not how it works. How are two of them justified?
It's like it's if they keep the laws.
Yes, that's it. That's it. So if a rich man breaks the law, if the rich man do something evil to a poor man, in our kingdom, he can't go and get the best lawyer. You understand? So that he could do what? So he could get around
Get around. No,
going to jail
can't say.
or being judged. You understand? The Lord don't care about money, and he don't care about whether they don't have money. You understand? Right? In this kingdom, being poor is almost, committing a crime. You understand? Is now into committing a crime. You poor, even though you did not do a crime, you don't have a good lawyer, you could end up where?
In jail, sir.
Yeah, in jail. Because in this kingdom, what? There is a respect to what? A person.
Can't.
There is. But not when it comes to the Most High power. And Paul is trying to get them to understand this between who? Who is he trying to get them to understand this? Between who?
Between the Jews in Jerusalem and the Jews out Jerusalem.
Yes. The Jews and the Gentiles. He's trying to get them to understand that. Not
So
because you... Come on.
This verse right here, this in 11, for there is no respect of person with God. This is what the Christians use to say everybody is welcome in.
Yes, but that is not what it's talking about.
Can't, sir.
This has to speak with, because the only way for them to say that everybody is welcome in is because they are calling themselves the Gentile.
Can't.
So the only way for us to come in, we would have to be the Gentile. Because according to the earth, who were the Jews?
The people who are in currently in Israel.
Yes. So therefore, they're going to have to use this scripture to say what? That we all could come in. Not just the Jewish people in Israel. When the Jewish people in Israel, they're not the Jews. They're not the real Jews. That's why they call themselves Jewish. That's why they have a religion called what? What religion? What do they call themselves?
Yes. So like I said, I'm getting a blank on that one.
The Jewish people, what religion do they call them?
Judaism, right? So
Yes, Judaism. They
Can't-
created Judaism. Judaism was man-made. This Bible has nothing to do with Judaism. You understand? We as Jews, do we have a religion? We as Israelites, we do not have a religion. We have a book put on what? On our history, and it gives us what? The laws and statutes and what? Commandments. You understand? Like when people ask you what's your religion, the first thing you should ask them is what religion was Moses? You're gonna be that's in the Old Testament. Okay, no sweat. What religion was Christ? What they're gonna say?
They can say he was a Christian.
Yes, and now you could cut them. You can say, no, he wasn't a Christian. How you know he wasn't a Christian? Because to be a Christian, what do you have to do?
You have to follow Christ.
So Christ couldn't be a Christian, right? His disciples will have to be Christian because they will be the ones following him, right? But that wasn't a religion. To follow Christ is not religion. You understand? So now, you know what I mean, you could, you know what I mean, dice them up, you know what I mean, two ways, you know what I mean, several ways when it comes to religion. You understand? And that this scripture just simply means there's no respect to a person who was living in Jerusalem. And remember what the topic is on. What is the topic on?
So like a circumcision, sir?
Yes. So in other words, the Jews would be the ones that had what? That were what?
That was circumcised on the 8th day, sir.
Yes. Very good. The Gentiles will be the ones that who would not what?
Not circumcised at all.
Yeah. Right. So now read verse 12.
Come on. This is the book of Romans chapter 2 and verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law.
Mm-hmm.
And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law.
So what is he saying? Now, this is something you're going to have to understand.
So like here, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So as many have sinned without the law, because everyone was not given the law.
No.
That's not
Yeah,
it?
understand. No, you have to understand when it says the law. When you read the law, this is what you have. This is how you have to think. All right. Okay. If you commit a crime, let's say, Lord forbid, right? Lord forbid, you do a DD to your wife. Meaning, you know what I mean, you lay hands on her. Right? What and who is coming to your door?
The police, sir.
Now, how do we say it? How do black people speak?
Say the man coming to the door.
No?
Or the
Mhm.
law.
Yeah.
The law. Yes.
That's who's coming to the door. The law. You understand? And the law is going to take you to get what? Before the judge to get what? Judged.
That judge.
You understand? So when you read the law, think of the what? Think of what? Think of the priest coming to you. So read it one more time.
For as many as have sinned without law shall
In other words, you outside of Jerusalem, there was no priest kicking in your door if you was eating pork. But guess what? You are still going to what? Die for eating pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. You understand? You're still going to die for your sin. You understand? You commit adultery, ain't no priest kicking in your door to drag you out to get stoned if you was what? Outside of Jerusalem. But you're still going to die for doing that. You understand?
Come.
Right? Now read on.
And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law.
You understand? So now you're sin in the law. Now the way You're in Jerusalem. Guess what? Priest right there. You're going to get judged right then and there. You understand?
Counsel.
Read on.
For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified.
So he is doing what? He is doing what here? He is,
Making a comparison between just the hearers and the doers.
yeah, so he's doing what? He is cutting them. He's trying to tell you, okay, you hear the law. You know what the law is. That still ain't gonna make you what? A just man. You have to be a what?
A doer, sir.
Yes. You had to be a doer. Right? Read on.
For when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves.
You understand? So read one more time. For the Gentiles, what? For when the what?
For when the Gentiles which have not the law,
Meaning what? Have not the law, meaning what? Meaning they don't have the thou shalt not eat shrimp, thou shalt not eat pork. What does that say when it's for the Gentiles which have not the law?
are not somebody overseeing them to bring the punishment.
Yes, you know them countries in Iran, them Arabs country. I heard this about Iran. They have their police, and then they have their moral police.
I heard that too.
You understand? Now the moral police is the one that's going to enforce what? The law according to what? The Quran. Whatever. You understand? So they see a woman that ain't wearing her head covered. Guess what? She's getting what? She's going to get locked up. One of them died in custody that caused almost a big, protest across there. You understand? And that's them trying to do what? Follow what? What's we have in our book. You understand? I'm not understanding. You understand? That Christ came to do what? He didn't come to change the law, but to fulfill it. But you now have what? What you have right now?
It's like a grace.
Yes, you have grace. And grace is for a time period. Grace doesn't mean you have an excuse to do what?
To break the law.
Yes. Grace doesn't mean you have an excuse to break the law. It does not. Right? Read on.
So like it's
verse 14.
Romans chapter 2 and verse 14. For when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, these have not the law are the law unto themselves.
You understand? And how do you explain that? Bring yourselves in. Does the priest have to be in your house to tell you now you can't have pork, crab, shrimp, or lobster?
So.
No, you don't have it in your house. You are what? Unto yourself.
So like a law unto ourselves because we don't do it.
Yes. You understand? Because we would be considered what?
So like would we be considered Gentiles at this point?
Yes, we would have been considered Gentile because guess what? Did you celebrate Christmas? I celebrate Christmas. Oh, I should say my old man celebrated Christmas. So guess what? I would have been what? Me and you would have been what?
We'd have been dead now.
Not dead.
Or cast out, I guess. Cast out.
Yes, we'd have been cast out. All of us would have to been cast out. You understand? But because of Christ, Christ dying for us on that cross, we have a second chance. You understand? That's why if now you hear the truth and you go sin, Christ ain't died for that. You're gonna have to pay for that. You understand?
Kind of cancer.
You come in here eating crab, shrimp, and lobster, and you stop, right? And then you fall, how the Christians say, fall short,
Cancer.
right? And you go put a pork knuckles in your mouth after you hear the truth. Christ did not die for that. You understand? Now you're gonna have to pay for that. You understand? Right?
Salakia.
Read on.
Come on. I think young man Bryceman has something to say.
Go ahead.
Salakia.
Cancer.
And I starving, man. I starving. That's all I get to eat.
What? Well, starve. Starve. Yeah.
Come.
Starve, Ark. Remember
Bread.
remember what Christ told the I believe it's either his disciples or the Sadducees. I think it's the disciples when he said what? The birds. Do the birds work?
La.
So how they get fed? I thought you only get fed if you work.
The Lord feed them.
Right. So if the Lord feeding the birds, are you not better than the birds?
Come.
You understand? That's why you have your brothers here. That's all you have in your house. Nah. Pick the phone up and call Oscar. Hey, Oscar. All I have here is, swine.
Cancer.
You can help a brother out.
Yeah.
And guess what? Oscar, if you have it, he's gonna give you. If you don't have it, he's gonna call me and tell me. And brother, food gonna be at your front door. You understand? Lawful. You understand? That's why we tell brothers and sisters. In this school, we have I don't know the terminology they use for it in English, but we have something where we say no excuse. There's no excuse. You understand? You put your hand on a woman, there's no excuse to do it. Likewise, a woman puts her hand on her husband, there's no excuse. You a man, you go sleep with a woman that has a husband, what excuse you gonna bring? There's no excuse. None whatsoever. There's no excuse. You understand? And you live your life like that. You live your life without giving excuses, and you see the difference. You're gonna see a difference in your life, and people are going to see the difference in your life. You understand? You're going to be a shining example of what Christ was trying to show us. Right? Read on.
Cancer. This is the book of Romans chapter 2 and verse 15. Which shew the work of the law written in their hearts.
Written where?
In their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Their conscience also being witness, and their thoughts, the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another.
You understand? Meaning this, like this. When we came into this world, right? We were taught what? What's the first thing we learned when we came into this earth? Did we learn the truth? No, we learned Christianity, right? Nonetheless, the LGBTQ community, we knew it was what? We knew it was what? It was wrong. We knew it was wrong. You understand? And that's Israelite. That's why you see certain Israelites, they may not be in the truth, but the way they look at life is totally different than an oppressor when it comes to sin. To oppressor, you mean you being LGBTQ, that's love. You can't stop that. You can love whoever you want to love. Not in our community. And when I talk about saying not in our community, I'm speaking about the majority of us. The majority of us still have a stigma, which it should stay against what? Against that LGBTQ, living that type of lifestyle. You understand? Not saying we, we go harm them or not. We just against that lifestyle. Just like the Lord against it. You understand? But when you come into the truth, you start what? You actually see where it says it in Romans. In the Old Testament, you actually read the law. And now you're starting to read and see. You understand? The laws on how to deal with one another. You know it was what? If somebody left their wallet on the table and you go take money out of there, you know it was what? Wrong.
Stealing, sir. Right, wrong.
Wrong. But you come into the truth and you start doing what? You read it. You actually read it and see the law where it says you should not what? Thou shalt not what? Steal. You understand? Right? No, skip down. Just for time's sake, let's skip down to verse, I believe is 25. Skip down to verse 25.
Come. This is the book of Romans chapter 2. For circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keepest the law. But
What is that? What does that mean?
so it's like it, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So circumcision verily profiteth if thou keepest the law. So
Mm-hmm.
if you circumcise and keep the law, then it's profited.
Yes.
Then
So if you circumcise and you're not keeping the law, then guess what? That circumcised rod means nothing to the Lord if you ain't keep the law. Means nothing to him. You understand?
come on.
Right? That's like remember the when Christ had the was cutting the Sadducees and Pharisees when they charged his disciples for not washing their hands.
Come on, sir.
You understand? It's like that. They want to keep what? Basically traditions, but they don't want to keep what? Laws of the Bible. You understand? Christ was cutting them. You understand? So now you want to keep the law. You want to keep the law on what? Circumcision. Okay, good. Are you eating pork? Yeah, eating pork. Well, then circumcision means what? Nothing. You're committing adultery, you're circumcised. You have an Israelite rod, but you're committing adultery. That Israelite rod mean nothing. You understand? Read on.
Come on, sir. But if thou be a breaker of the law,
Mm-hmm.
thy circumcision is made uncircumcision.
Yes. Yes, that's it. Read on.
Come on. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
So now a brother who is not circumcised, if he's keeping the law, should not count for circumcision? That's the question he's asking. Read on.
Come on. And shall not the uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it is fulfilled, the law judge thee? Who
Right? Go on.
Come on. Who by the letter uncircumcision does transgress the law?
Mm-hmm. Read on.
For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh.
You understand? So being circumcised doesn't make you what? What is he saying here? Doesn't make you a what?
Doesn't
Right? Remember, what's the beef? The beef is you are not a Jew. Right? You are Gentile because of what?
the
Because you are not yes.
circumcised.
So he is saying that circumcision doesn't make you what? Read it one more time.
Come on. For he is not a Jew which is one outwardly,
So for
neither
he is not a Jew that is what? Outwardly,
outwardly,
right? Meaning what?
meaning that he is one that is his heart is circumcised, but not outwardly.
Mm.
He's not circumcised.
Okay. Read it one more time.
So like I said,
I don't want to give it. Read it.
for he is not a Jew which is one outwardly.
Meaning your looks. Not because you look, not because your rod is what? Circumcised. That doesn't make you a Jew. Right? Read on.
Neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh.
Right. You understand? That don't make you a Jew. Read on.
But he is a Jew which is one inwardly.
Mm-hmm.
And
on.
circumcision is that of the heart.
Mm-hmm. Where's Paul getting this from? Where's Paul getting all of this from? Go to Jeremiah 4:4. I mean, this is one of them good scriptures to go to show the correlation between the New and the Old Testament. This is one of many. You know, Christians like to say, "Nah, you had to read the New Testament. The old, that was in the past. Yeah, read the New." Now, how would you understand what Paul is trying to say here if you never read the Old Testament? How are you going to understand it? You won't understand it. There's no way you can understand it. Read.
Come on. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 4 and verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Circumcise yourself in the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And take away the foreskin of your heart.
He's saying what? What is Jeremiah saying?
Circumcise yourselves to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And take away the foreskins of your heart.
Hold on. So is Jeremiah telling me to cut the foreskin off my rod?
Nah.
No, he's not. But what do I have to circumcise?
So our minds.
Yes. It says your heart, meaning your mind.
Concept.
Yes, my mind. You understand? Now I have to do what? I have to do the Lord's statutes and commandments. Read on.
Okay. Let's see. Ye men of Judah, and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire, and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doing.
You understand? You can't say you circumcised in the flesh and you sinning against the Lord. He don't want you. You are evildoer. You understand? You are evildoer. Right? Now go back to Romans. Finish verse 29. 2 and 29.
So this is the book of Romans chapter 2. I read it from the top, verse 29.
Yes, read from 29.
But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly. And circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter.
And not what?
And not in the letter.
Good. Read on.
whose praise is not of man, but of God.
What is Paul saying here? So, in other words, tell me this. Is Paul telling men who are not circumcised to go get circumcised right now? And lay up on that bed in pain?
So I don't think so.
No, he ain't telling you to do that. You understand? But what is he saying for you to do?
Circumcise our hearts, though.
Your mind, yes.
Mind.
Now you have to do what? You have to live like a man who what? Has a what? Circumcision in his flesh, basically. You have to live like that and do what the Lord tell you to do. Not just circumcision, but everything.
Come on.
That's how you circumcise what? Your heart, your mind. You understand? That's what Paul is telling you that you have to do. That's why today, right? You have a newborn. Should you have him circumcised?
But come on, sir. I think
Yeah, you should. You should. You understand? Now let's say you did not. You're wrong?
Nah, sir.
No, you're not. You ain't. But you should do it. So that when that boy grows up and he asks the question, Mommy or Daddy, such and such, why am I not circumcised? I thought we were supposed to be circumcised. You could explain to him why he's not and why he is.
Come on, sir.
You understand? You want him nonetheless to have that token. You understand? But if he did not, ain't no sweat, ain't no biggie. He has to be where? Circumcised where? We all have to be circumcised where? In our heart, which is this right here.
Okay.
You understand? Right? And that's one of the beef. You understand circumcision, you pathway to understanding why Peter and them then keep company with brothers who weren't Jews. You understand? The Gentiles. Now you start to understand that the Jews and Gentiles are talking about, when it speaks about the Gentile in a way where the Lord having mercy on them or the Lord trying to bring them in. Now you understand these Gentiles are who? Who are these Gentiles?
Cast out Jews, sir.
Yes, brothers and sisters. Those Gentiles are not heathens. You understand? Now you start putting it together. But without understanding the circumcision, this whole, beef that Paul, and Peter and them had. Now you're going to think, well, everybody could come in. When everybody, this is not talking about everybody. It's talking about Israelites who were living outside of Jerusalem. You understand? That's why, let's see. Go to Colossians. Let's go to Colossians, and then I'll go to where Paul said it. Colossians 2:11.
This is the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 11. In whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands.
And the circumcision made with what?
Without hands.
Without hands. What does that mean? What is circumcision without hands?
So like I said, that's probably what we were just talking about, being circumcised of the heart.
Yes. Yes. That's it. Read on.
Come on. In putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ.
Yes, that's it. That is it. You understand what it's saying? Read one more time.
Come on. And let me start from the top.
Yes.
And in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands,
Mm-hmm.
in putting off the body of the sin of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ.
Right. Meaning what? So remember, circumcision has to do with what? Cutting your
Kind.
foreskin, right? So now, what is he telling you you're going to have to do? You're going to have to cut off what?
Cut off the sin out of your heart.
Yes. You're going to have to stop sinning. You got to
Stop
cut sin out your life.
Cancer.
Now, you understand? You're going to have to live like who? Like Christ,
Cancer.
right? Read on.
Buried with him in baptism.
Yes. So now, guess what? You baptized. So guess what? You start behaving like who? Like a?
Like a Jew.
Yes, but give me more. Okay, think like yourself. Meaning, you were called by somebody else in the world. Now you are Ashka. Now you
Yeah.
behaving like who?
ISUPK, sir.
Now you behaving like who?
Like Christ.
Now you behaving like who?
Like the man above me.
Now you behaving like Ashka.
Oh, cancer.
That's who you behaving like. You understand?
Cancer.
That old man was buried. You understand? And that takes place when you coming into the truth. You are burying that old man. You burying that old woman, that old person. You burying that old person. Because you're learning what to do, what not to do. Things that you're not supposed to do, you start doing what? Cutting it out your life.
Kind.
You understand? Right? Read on.
Cancer. Buried with him in baptism, wherein also ye are raised with him through the faith of the operation of God, who has raised him from the dead.
You understand? You are raised to be an Ashka. You're raised from the dead. You now a new man. Right? Read on.
Kind. And ye, being dead in your sins, and the uncircumcised of your flesh, had he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses.
You understand? So now you're forgiven for everything you didn't do. If you was uncircumcised, you're forgiven for that.
Kind.
Now you come in. If you did anything that you was not supposed to, now you're forgiven for it. Now you're doing what? Now you are circumcising your what? Your heart.
Kind.
All right, read on.
Kind. This is the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 14.
You know what? Stop right there. Just for time's sake. Let's go to Romans 11 and 13. Right? Now you will understand what Paul is saying here.
Kind. This is the book of Romans chapter 11 and verse 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, insomuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office.
What is Paul saying here? What's Paul saying?
Paul is saying he's been sent. He is the apostle of the Gentiles, meaning for those who are out of Jerusalem. So he's now basically saying, I come into y'all. It's my office.
That's it. He talking about the blacks and Hispanics that is outside of Jerusalem.
Outside Jerusalem. Answer.
You understand? Now you're starting to understand the Gentiles, the context in which it's in. This Gentile here, Paul is going to who? Brothers and sisters. And how we know he's going to brothers and sisters? Now you go back up to Romans 11 and 1 and read it.
This is the book of Romans chapter 11 verse 1. I say, had God cast away his people?
Mm-hmm.
God forbid.
So now his people is what? Possessive.
Cancer.
You understand? God has a people. Right? Read on.
For I also am an Israelite.
For I also what?
I'm an Israelite.
You understand? So he's telling you who's God's chosen people.
Cancer.
Read on.
Of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
So he's giving you his what? His registry.
Cancer, his registry.
You understand? He was from the tribe of Benjamin. You understand? And he's trying to tell you that what? In verse what? In verse 13, he's speaking to who? These Jews outside of Jerusalem. Why? Because they were basically cast out. That's why Peter had the what? The vision. Remember, Peter had the vision of all the different unclean animals coming down. Because it was pertaining to who? To these Gentiles. He was that Lord trying to tell Peter, yo, these people you go to, bring them in. They had to come in also too. Paul understood it. You understand? Right? And that's it in a nutshell right there for when it comes to circumcision, when it comes to the, understanding that, that relationship Peter and Paul had and the disciples and them had. Right? That's why they didn't want to be, they didn't want to keep company with a what? With a non-Jew. Because according to them, a non-Jew was a what? It starts with an S.
It's like it's a sinner.
Yes, to them, a non-Jew. You outside of Jerusalem, you were a sinner. They didn't care if you wasn't. You were a sinner if you was outside. Why? Number one on the list, you weren't circumcised. So they couldn't be seen with you. You understand?
Cancer.
All right. Okay, I know we're up any time. You all have any questions before I let you all out? Any whatsoever? If not, I'm going to pass the class to priest and officer of 50 Akashka.
Let's start it up. Captain of 13,000. Water, sir.
Mm-hmm.
This is the security announcement. We are the ISUPK. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves off the world. After 6 months, if the brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry, tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18:21 and Malachi 3:8-10. And it means tenth in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashira. 10% of every penny of any increase that the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. The priest fund. Free will offering for priests is not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give, you can give. Upcoming Holy Convocation, we're still in the period of first fruit, and it ends at June the 17th, which we should have a feast. And I remind Akia and Aquathium to check the social media, isupk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and material. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headbands, and scarf. And with that, said, Imagine we give one courtesy salute to our teacher. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatham.
And we turn and Imagine sister. We give one courtesy salute. So return to the sister. And we give the sister one courtesy. Imagine Shabbat. Barak. Yahweh Shemal Alatam by
Yahweh
Hashem.
Hashem Yahshua.
Yahweh Shema Elathan Bahashim Yahweh Shai.
Ajimata. Understand? And with that, class dismissed.
All right. All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.